Welcome to the barbecue. Welcome to the back deck. It's summer. I cut my hair recently. Not my favorite haircut ever. It's not too bad considering it's my first time cutting my hair. I also ate mac and cheese today and drank lemonade here on the back deck. This has nothing to do with anything, but today I'm very, very excited to show you my first ever full behind the scenes wedding day from a venue called Cellar 52, very close to the Kitchener area here. I hope you enjoy.
All right, let's get right into it. This is Cellar 52 in St. Jacobs, and I always arrive about 10 to 15 minutes early to a wedding day just to grab some establishing shots of the venue, of any decorations that are set up inside. I find that it helps kind of get me in the zone, and it also helps open up the gallery for the couple really well. And even if it's like views from windows or quirky things in the hallways, I love capturing that stuff for the start of the gallery. From there, I go and check in with the bride, see how everything's rolling, just let her know that I'm there, and grab a few photos, and then I'll head over to the groom and groomsmen. And venues like this, and a lot of venues that I get to work at, are awesome because everyone's getting ready on the same property. So I literally just had to walk down the hall from seeing Leah to now seeing Zach here. And when I'm photographing people getting ready, I try to be almost as like extra relaxed as possible because I recognize that I'm the new person coming into that situation. They're already having a good time with their friends that they know. And so I just try to like mesh well as possible, as well as I can. And sometimes it can feel a little bit awkward at first, but after you give it a few minutes, you'll get rolling, no problem. And somebody's learning how to tie a tie here, which happens without fail at almost every single wedding. People need to pull up a YouTube tutorial on how to make ties or how to tie ties. Maybe that's what I should be doing. I'm just photographing very candidly here as Zach is getting ready. If I know I'm going to do a couple portraits like this, I'll maybe frame him up in a good composition, move some of the clutter around, and get him by a window. And I'll also turn off any of the like orange pot lights that you generally find in rooms like this or hotel rooms. If you just turn those off and focus on one temperature of light, you'll be better off for it. There's always somebody that comes in and wants to switch them back on, turn on all the lights possible because they think they're doing you a favor, but just get them off and you'll be fine. Dress shots, if somebody hangs up the dress and it seems apparent that that's valuable to the bride, then I'll grab some shots of the dress hanging up. Most of the time I don't worry about it too much. I think it's nice as long as it's not going to be too big of a hassle, and that goes for a lot of details on the wedding day. If I can't grab them alone, I'll just get them on people. I find that details are generally more flattering on people anyways. And so yeah, now I'm here with Leah and her bridesmaids. They're just sipping their drinks, getting ready. I'm purposefully here at the end of makeup. That's what I always recommend. I don't have to be at weddings. I don't have to be there for the entire makeup time. Just towards the end of makeup is totally sufficient, and I can grab candids and group photos and hanging out and all that getting ready stuff. So here Leah is practicing her vows on these cards that she prepared, and I knew that this was a special moment for her. So A, I wanted to be there to photograph it as she practiced, and then B, I wanted to grab some detail shots, which you can see here. And then this is an awesome moment. This is Leah having kind of a dress lacing with her mom, which I would highly recommend. If you're a photographer, recommend it for your couple. If you're a bride watching this, I highly recommend doing it, even if your dress doesn't have lace specifically that has to be done up. That's totally okay. Just a nice isolated time for you and your mother or whoever that special person is for you. It's a really nice moment. Same goes for a first look with the bridesmaids. If they've already seen the wedding dress, that's totally fine. It's still a really fun moment to capture, as you can see there. Great expressions. So from there, I made my way to the ceremony. Ceremonies I always try to get to around 10 to 15 minutes early, grab some details, grab some candids of the setup. And I just like grabbing some photos before everyone floods in. And guys always walk down the aisle too fast, just a little bit too fast. So it's always important to be as vigilant as possible when you're photographing them. Bridesmaids, they were coming down at a good pace. I like this pace. So here I'm just grabbing a shot of Zach's reaction. Right away, I always grab a safe shot, usually right when the bride is coming around the corner. Leah, in this case, is just entering the room. I find that's usually when the biggest smile occurs. Sometimes it builds while the bride is coming down the aisle. Most of the time, it's right when she pops around the corner and the emotion immediately hits. Yeah, it's a very special moment. And then I always try to photograph through these hugs if possible, because you just get some really nice ones, like this one here. But then as soon as that's done and they settle in, I make my way to the back. I try to get out of the way as fast as possible, grab a nice establishing shot of the ceremony setup. And from there, I really stay out of the way of guests as much as possible throughout the ceremony. I really try to maintain that guest experience. I want them to have a good time. I want them to be focused on the couple, not focus on me as the photographer. I can do my job, I can do my job without getting in their way. And I'll even grab a couple random photos and that kid's expression. Love it. So the only time I am really putting myself at the front of a ceremony is during this paper signing time. I find it's a great opportunity to grab candids of the bridal party, hanging out, candids of parents watching their children sign the papers, get married, and just grab expressions on people's faces. I use that time to do that. And then first kiss, and then as the couple walks down the aisle, I tend to grab this with a wide lens because I love the feeling and the energy. You can see other people's faces in the image. Sometimes I'll go with a tighter lens, just get them in it. But most of the time, I like going wide for that part of the day. Then when the couple goes off around the corner or upstairs or wherever that might be, I try to follow them immediately if I can. And I do this because I know that there's going to be great reactions and great moments here like this one that I want to be sure to capture. From there, just some quick family photos, usually like 15 minutes. I'll always work with couples to have them fill out a questionnaire before the wedding so that I'm aware of what family photos are important to them. But otherwise, it's usually just immediate family, and I know how to roll through that really efficiently. And then moving on to the wedding party here, taking photos by the river. Wedding party, I always get photos of people looking at the camera, but then also I just have them kind of like hang out, look at each other, laugh, and have a good time. It's usually just me joking back and forth awkwardly with them and grabbing these candid photos that you see. And this applies for, the whole wedding party. This also applies for the bride and her bridesmaids. It's just ask them to check each other out, have a good time. And that always spurs on some good reactions for a couple minutes until they get tired of you. No, they never get tired of me. I'm kidding. They probably do. And then same thing here, just looking at the camera, and then I'll grab another one of them looking at each other and having a good time. And then guys, I already got a photo of them looking at the camera, so I had them walk towards the camera here. And then what I'll usually say to the groomsmen is just, give him a hard time. He's about to get married or he just got married. Give him a hard time. And they beat up on each other for a little bit, and then eventually it starts to get inappropriate and violent, and that's usually when I cut it off. But in between, it's it's kind of a fun prompt to open up some fun photos.
So you don't have to have your bouquet the whole time. Yeah.
Awesome. And then I'm just grabbing some photos here, some portraits of Leah. It was a very, very hot day, and I didn't want her to have to carry her bouquet. As much as we could avoid, I wanted to free her up. So grabbed a couple of quick portraits of her with the bouquet before I took her and Zach for a walk around the property. And when I'm photographing couples, I keep it very easy. I do provide some directions so that they help feel comfortable and like they know what they're doing, because they actually feel like they know what they're doing when you give them some direction. But for the most part, it just involves going for a walk and me kind of like looking around and seeing what piques my interest, what piques my creative brain, and then leaning into that and communicating that to them. Which usually plays out with me going like, oh, here, I want to shoot over here. Oh, I want to try this. Guys, come this way for a second. And I'll also just use this as a time of connection for the couple to walk around and talk and catch up with each other. Usually when this is happening, they're either about to get married, or in Leah and Zach's case, they just got married. And so this is likely the only time they've had in the day up to that point, just the two of them. And of course I'm there, but I want to give them also that time to connect and catch up with each other as much as possible. And then I headed back to the venue and grabbed some candids of guests as they were hanging out before the reception started. Honestly, I think my GoPro died here, so I don't have any photos, or I don't have any video from this section, but as you can see, I'm grabbing some details and candids of guests as they hang out. I'll grab group photos as well of people just looking at the camera. I think that's very helpful for the bride and groom, as well as just candids of people hanging out and having a good time. And then into speeches here and toasts and, dinner. I always try to grab a combination of speeches and toasts as well as reactions like that one. I think that's very helpful to kind of just piece it all together. And then whatever else happens throughout the evening, I just photograph through that, the dances, the party time, all that good stuff. And then I actually was going to grab some sunset photos with Leah and Zach throughout the evening. And we walked outside and it was pouring rain. It was just a monsoon. So we quickly pivoted and I brought them inside. I had wanted to shoot with this cool chandelier earlier in the day anyways. So I saw it as a good opportunity to try that. And one thing I'll mention too about moments like that when all of a sudden it starts to rain and you're not sure what to do because you had planned to get sunset photos. As a photographer, if you're a photographer watching this, I would say really try to lean into that because you're going to capture photos for the couple and for the venue especially that most people would not capture. You know, if you have, I love sunsets as much as the next guy, but if you have a perfect sunset, of course you're going to go out to capture that sunset with the couple, and every other photographer is going to do that as well. But if it's pouring rain, lean into it because you're going to capture photos that have never been made before. And I think that's a very helpful marketing collateral for the venue that you're working with because it shows a new element to their space. And then from there, we just walked around a little bit more. We went outside. I used my phone to reflect these string lights on the patio area there and just grabbed some final photos of the evening. And speaking of final photos, I'll always try to get, when I'm leaving a wedding, I'll keep one camera on me and I'll just turn around as I'm headed out and I'll photograph whatever the wedding looks like, whatever the venue looks like at night. I just find it helps close out the gallery really cohesively. Just like in the beginning, I got those establishing shots of the area as I arrived at the wedding. I aim to close out the wedding just like they would if they were leaving it, or just like their guests were if they were leaving it.
And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me and Leah and Zach from this behind the scenes wedding day at Cellar 52. I really appreciate your time and attention. If you want to see more from me, like this video, subscribe, leave a comment so I know you're here, but don't feel obligated. It's your life. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I really wanted to get this video done today. If I got it done today, you'll know. Actually, I guess you won't know. It's very hot outside. Hotter than I anticipated. That's it.